The Pine Grove locals thought Elliot Kane was just another wealthy recluse when he bought the old Victorian mansion on the edge of town 5 years ago. A quiet man who tended his roses, made anonymous donations to the local school, and kept to himself. So when two of the world's deadliest assassins received their latest contract, it seemed straightforward enough. Eliminate the hermit hiding in the woods. Reed Martinez and Lila Chun had taken down cartel bosses, corrupt politicians, and hardened crime lords without breaking a sweat. A retired tech millionaire living alone should have been simple. But as they prepared to infiltrate his fortress-like estate, they had no idea they were about to target the architect of the modern criminal underworld. The shadowy genius who had built and then systematically dismantled a financial empire that moved billions in illegal funds. Elliot Kane had spent the last 5 years methodically destroying the monster he created, and he wasn't about to let Victor Harlow's hitmen stop him now. The assassins thought they were hunting easy prey. Instead, they were walking into the lair of the most dangerous man they'd ever encountered. Some targets fight back, but only a fool tries to kill the man who built the system that made them all rich. Just before we get back to it, I'd love to know where you're watching from today, and if you're enjoying these stories, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow's special episode is one you definitely don't want to miss. The morning mist clings to the dense forest surrounding Elliot Kane's estate, creating an ethereal barrier between his world and everything beyond. Through the thinning fog, a sprawling Victorian mansion gradually comes into view, its weathered stone facade telling stories of decades past. The property stretches across 20 acres of carefully maintained grounds, bordered by ancient oaks that stand like silent sentinels. Through the large bay windows, classical music drifts out into the crisp morning air. Bach's Cello Suite No. 1 in G major fills the space with its haunting melody as Elliot tends to his prized roses. His movements are deliberate and graceful, each motion precise as he prunes the thorny stems. At 62, he carries himself with the vitality of a much younger man, his silver hair and lined face the only betrayal of his age. "There you go," he murmurs to a particularly vibrant bloom, his voice carrying a gentleness that seems at odds with his weathered hands. "You just needed a little room to breathe." Above him, barely visible against the morning sky, a small drone performs its regular perimeter sweep. It's one of dozens of security measures that most visitors would never notice. Hidden cameras track movement through the trees, pressure sensors monitor every footstep on the grounds, and thermal imaging systems scan for any sign of intrusion. The technology is cutting edge, much of it years ahead of what's commercially available. Inside his study, multiple monitors display feeds from various security systems. One screen shows a 3D topographical map of the grounds. Another runs continuous environmental readings, while a third cycles through camera feeds. A subtle alert chimes, and Elliot glances at his watch, a custom-designed piece that doubles as a security hub. Time for the morning routine, he says to himself, his voice echoing in the empty house. The basement gym is a stark contrast to the classical architecture above. Here, modern equipment shares space with traditional training tools. Elliot moves through a complex series of exercises with practiced efficiency. His workout isn't the casual routine of a retiree, but the disciplined regimen of someone who understands the importance of staying sharp. After his workout, Elliot heads to his meditation room. The space is sparse, just a simple mat on wooden floors, facing a window that overlooks the forest. As he settles into his meditation pose, his face relaxes, but his eyes remain troubled. They're the eyes of someone carrying heavy memories. "Clear your mind," he whispers, but today, like most days, true peace eludes him. Later, in his private study, Elliot approaches a seemingly ordinary bookshelf. His fingers dance across the spines of leather-bound classics before stopping at a first edition of The Count of Monte Cristo. A gentle pull reveals it to be a lever, and the entire bookshelf slides silently aside. Behind it lies a vault that would put many military installations to shame. The reinforced door opens with a retinal scan and fingerprint authentication. Inside, the walls are lined with arrays of passports bearing different names, but all showing his face. Secured weapons cases contain everything from handguns to sophisticated electronic warfare devices. But it's the documents that tell the real story. Folders filled with financial records, encrypted hard drives, and photographs that span decades. Elliot pulls out one folder, its edges worn from frequent handling. Inside is a photograph of a younger version of himself standing next to a sleek office building in Singapore. His expression in the photo is different, harder, more confident, lacking the weight of regret that now shadows his features. Another life, he mutters, replacing the folder. Miles away, in a dimly lit private room of an upscale restaurant, two people sit across from a figure shrouded in shadow. Reed Martinez leans back in his chair, his casual posture belying the coiled tension in his athletic frame. At 35, he carries himself with the easy confidence of someone intimately familiar with violence. Beside him, Lila Chun remains perfectly still, her sharp features illuminated by the soft chandelier light. At 28, she's younger than Reed, but carries an equal gravity. The figure across from them, known only as the broker, slides a tablet across the table. "Your next target," the voice says, electronically distorted to mask any identifying characteristics. Reed picks up the tablet, and Lila leans in to look. On the screen is a high-resolution photograph of Elliot working in his garden. "You want us to take out a gardener?" Reed asks, his tone dismissive. The broker's modulated voice carries a note of tension. "Elliot Kane is not what he appears." "They never are," Lila responds smoothly, but her eyes narrow at the broker's hesitation. "Your reputation precedes you both," the broker continues. "The Venezuelan ambassador, the tech billionaire in Seoul, the arms dealer in Cape Town, all supposedly impossible targets, all eliminated without a trace." Reed's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "You're paying for the best. You get the best." The broker's hands, the only visible part of them, tighten slightly on the table. "Kane is different. There's a pause, almost too long. "He's dangerous in ways you can't imagine." "With all due respect," Reed says, clearly not meaning any. "He looks like a rich old man who's hiding from the world. We've handled plenty of those." "Your confidence is noted," the broker responds coldly. "The payment will be triple our usual arrangement." This causes both assassins to pause. Lila speaks first, her voice carefully neutral. "Triple? For a single target? Consider it hazard pay." The broker stands, preparing to leave. 1 week. No loose ends. After the broker departs, Reed and Lila remain seated, studying the information on the tablet. "Something's off about this one," Lila says quietly. Reed shrugs. "Rich guy with security? Nothing we haven't handled before. Triple pay for an easy job? I'm not complaining." Back at his estate, Elliot sits in his surveillance room, multiple screens displaying various data feeds. On one monitor, an encrypted communication intercept plays out. He watches the meeting between the broker and the assassins, his expression unreadable. His fingers move across a keyboard, and detailed dossiers appear on both Reed and Lila. Their track record is impressive, a string of seemingly impossible assassinations, each one executed with surgical precision. "So it begins," he murmurs, pulling up another screen showing various security protocols. With a few keystrokes, he activates additional layers of defense around his property. Moving to his desk, Elliot opens a leather-bound notebook. His handwriting is precise as he writes. "This ends now." Below it, he adds, "They send children to do their dirty work. Children who don't know they're playing with fire." From a drawer, he removes a custom Sig Sauer P226. The weapon is well maintained, but shows signs of use. Elliot holds it for a long moment, his expression troubled. There's a familiar weight to how he grips it, muscle memory from years of experience he'd rather forget. Finally, he places the gun back in the drawer without loading it. "There may still be another way," he says to the empty room, but his voice lacks conviction. As night falls over the estate, Elliot stands at his window, watching the security drones make their silent rounds. In the reflection of the glass, his expression is resolute but tinged with sadness. The classical music still plays softly in the background, but now it feels less like a comfort and more like a requiem for the peace he's about to lose. The game is set, the players are in motion, and the first moves have been made. In his fortress of technology and secrets, Elliot Kane prepares for a confrontation he's been expecting for years. The question isn't whether he's ready. It's whether his opponents have any idea what they're walking into. As darkness settles over the estate, the security systems continue their vigilant watch, and somewhere in the city, two assassins begin planning an operation that will change all their lives forever. The peace Elliot has built for himself is about to be shattered, but perhaps that's what he's been waiting for all along. Tomorrow, the real game begins. The small town of Pine Grove sits nestled in the foothills of the Cascade Mountains, its main street a picturesque collection of weathered buildings that seem frozen in time. The autumn air carries a crisp bite as Reed Martinez adjusts his hiking backpack, playing the part of an outdoor enthusiast to perfection. Beside him, Lila Chun consults a trail map, her dark hair pulled back in a casual ponytail, looking every bit the eager hiker. Quaint little place, Reed mutters, scanning the street with practiced casualness. Probably hasn't changed in 50 years. Lila folds the map with precise movements. Perfect place to hide. Nobody asks questions in towns like this. They make their way down Main Street, their boots crunching on fallen leaves. Their outdoor gear is high-end but well-worn. Nothing to draw attention, just another pair of hiking enthusiasts passing through. The town's residents offer friendly nods as they pass, completely unaware of the predators in their midst. The Pine Grove Tavern stands at the corner of Main and Cedar, its wooden sign creaking gently in the breeze. Inside, the afternoon light filters through dusty windows, casting long shadows across worn floorboards. A few locals look up as Reed and Lila enter, but quickly return to their drinks. Tourists are common enough here. They settle at the bar, ordering local craft beers to maintain their cover. The bartender, a weather-beaten man in his 50s who introduces himself as Mike, has the easy manner of someone who's heard every story the mountains have to offer. First time in Pine Grove? Mike asks, sliding their drinks across the scarred wooden bar. Reed takes a careful sip. Just passing through. Heard there's good hiking in these parts. Best trails in the state, Mike confirms proudly. Though some areas are private property. Gotta be careful where you wander. Lila leans forward slightly, her expression one of innocent curiosity. Oh, any places we should specifically avoid? Mike wipes down the bar as he speaks. Well, there's the Kane estate up north. Beautiful property, but the owner values his privacy. Not that he's unfriendly. Quite the opposite. A gruff voice joins the conversation from further down the bar. Old Elliot? He's good people. The speaker is an elderly man nursing a whiskey, his flannel shirt faded from years of wear. Helped me fix my truck last winter when I broke down near his place. Wouldn't take a dime for it. You know him well? Lila asks, her tone casual, but her eyes sharp. The old man, who introduces himself as Frank, shakes his head. Nobody knows him well. Keeps to himself mostly, but he's always willing to help if someone's in trouble. Donates to the local school too, though he tries to keep it quiet. Reed signals for another round, loosening up the conversation. Over the next hour, they gather fragments of information about their target. Elliot Kane arrived in Pine Grove about 5 years ago. He lives alone, receives few visitors, and ventures into town only occasionally for supplies. The locals respect his privacy while appreciating his quiet generosity. Later, in their rented cabin on the outskirts of town, Lila sits cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by multiple laptops. Lines of code scroll across the screens as she digs deeper into their target's background. This is strange, she murmurs, fingers flying across the keyboards. It's like he barely exists. Reed looks up from cleaning his custom Glock 19. What do you mean? No social media, obviously. But there's more, or rather less. No property records under his name except for the estate, which is held by a series of shell companies. No tax records, no utility bills, nothing. The few documents I can find feel deliberately placed. Maybe he's just old school, Reed suggests, though his tone carries a hint of uncertainty. Lila shakes her head, her expression troubled. This isn't someone who's bad with technology. This is someone who knows exactly how to stay invisible in a digital world. The few traces I can find are too perfect, like breadcrumbs leading nowhere. Reed stands, stretching his athletic frame. You're overthinking it. Rich guy wants privacy, has money to buy it. Simple as that. The broker's reaction. Lila reminds him. The triple payment. Something doesn't add up. Money is money. Reed shrugs, but his casual dismissal feels forced. Let's scope out the property. As dawn breaks the next morning, they deploy their surveillance drones, high-end models modified for near-silent operation. The aerial footage reveals the full scope of Kane's estate, 20 acres of carefully maintained ground surrounded by dense forest. The Victorian mansion stands proud at the center, its architecture a blend of classical elegance and subtle modernization. No guards, Reed notes, watching the feed. No dogs, just cameras and sensor arrays. Nothing we haven't dealt with before. Lila zooms in on different sections of the property. The security setup is interesting. Some measures are obvious, almost too obvious. But look here. She points to barely visible distortions in the video feed. Electronic countermeasures. Advanced ones. So he's paranoid and rich, Reed says dismissively. Probably made his money in tech, and now he's hiding from the world. We've taken down harder targets. But Lila's unease grows as she studies the footage. The security measures she can detect seem almost deliberately visible, while subtle anomalies in their scanning equipment suggest layers of protection they can't see. I don't like it, she says finally. It feels like what? Like he's waiting for someone. Reed laughs, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes. An old man who spends his days gardening? Come on, Lila. You're letting the broker's paranoia get to you. Inside his surveillance room, Elliot watches their drones with a slight smile. His fingers dance across his keyboard, subtly altering what their sensors detect. Here, a security camera made visible. There, a blind spot suggested. Each apparent vulnerability is a carefully laid trap. Amateur equipment, he murmurs, noting the drone's specifications. Good, but not good enough. He pulls up their signal encryption and cracks it within minutes, giving him full access to their surveillance feed. Looking for weaknesses, he asks the empty room as he watches them scanning his defenses. I'll give you exactly what you're looking for. Back in town that evening, Reed and Lila return to the tavern, maintaining their cover while gathering final intelligence. The place is busier now, filled with locals unwinding after work. They're midway through their drinks when they overhear a conversation that catches their attention. Saw those lights again last night, a young woman tells her companion. Up by Kane's place. Like something out of a sci-fi movie. Her friend laughs. You've been watching too many UFO documentaries, Sarah. I'm serious. And there were these weird humming sounds like machinery or something. And I swear I saw drones, but like nothing I've ever seen before. Lila glances at Reed, who shakes his head slightly. Stay quiet, keep listening. That whole property is strange, Sarah continues. Sometimes my phone goes dead when I hike anywhere near it. And have you noticed how there's never any wildlife around there? No birds, no deer, nothing. It's like they know to stay away. Reed finishes his drink, his expression confident, but his eyes troubled. Time to finalize the plan? Lila nods, and they head back to their cabin. The sky has grown dark, heavy clouds rolling in from the mountains. Thunder rumbles in the distance as they review their tactical approach. We go in at 3, Reed says, laying out their equipment. Security systems are always weakest before dawn. Minimal staff, reduced alertness. We've got the blind spots mapped. No cameras on the north side of the property, and the trees provide good cover right up to the house. Lila runs a system check on their electronic countermeasures. The power grid shows regular fluctuations at that time too. Probably backup system cycling. We can use that as cover. Simple in and out. Reed continues. We've done this a dozen times. The old man won't even know what hit him. But as they make their final preparations, the storm grows closer. Lightning illuminates the mountains in stark bursts, and thunder shakes the cabin's windows. Nature itself seems to be warning them, but they're too focused on their target to heed the signs. In his study, Elliot watches the storm's approach on his weather monitors. The security feeds show Reed and Lila's cabin, their silhouettes visible as they prepare for what they think will be an easy mission. His expression is almost pitying as he watches them. You poor fools, he says softly. You have no idea what you're walking into. He turns to another monitor, checking the status of his countermeasures. Everything is in place. Now it's just a matter of waiting. The storm continues to build, its intensity matching the growing tension. In their cabin, Reed and Lila make their final preparations, their movements precise and practiced. They've done this many times before, but something feels different about this mission. The air is charged with more than just electricity. Lightning flashes again, and for a moment, Elliot's mansion is illuminated against the dark sky like a fortress awaiting siege. The thunder that follows seems to carry a warning. Turn back now, while you still can. But it's too late for warnings. The pieces are in motion, the trap is set, and in a few hours, the real game will begin. As the storm rages outside, three people prepare for a confrontation that will change all their lives forever. None of them will be the same when morning comes. The storm that had been threatening all evening now hangs over Pine Grove like a shroud. Rain falls in heavy sheets, and lightning periodically illuminates the dense forest surrounding Elliot Kane's estate. It's 2:45 a.m., and two dark figures move through the trees with practiced stealth. Reed Martinez leads the way, his movements fluid despite the challenging terrain. Behind him, Lila Chen follows precisely in his footsteps, both of them wearing advanced night vision goggles. Their black tactical gear is soaked, but neither shows any sign of discomfort. Primary approach vector clear, Reed whispers into his throat mic, his voice barely audible above the rain. No sign of perimeter security. Lila checks her tablet, its screen dimmed to near invisibility. Grid readings normal. If there are any sensors, they're not active. They don't notice the subtle distortions in their equipment readings, nor the near-invisible sensors tracking their every movement. In his surveillance room, Elliot watches their approach with calm interest, making minor adjustments to his systems to guide them exactly where he wants them. Like moths to a flame, he murmurs, fingers dancing across his keyboard. The assassins reach the edge of the manicured lawn, pausing in the shadow of a massive oak tree. The Victorian mansion looms before them, dark except for a single light in an upstairs window. Lightning flashes again, casting dramatic shadows across the property. "Remember," Reed says, checking his suppressed pistol, quick and clean. No traces. They cross the open ground in short, controlled bursts, using the storm's chaos as cover. Their intelligence suggested multiple security cameras, but they encounter nothing. No alarms, no response, just the sound of rain and thunder. "Too easy," Lila mutters, but Reed has already reached the front door. He reaches for the handle, expecting resistance. To their surprise, it turns smoothly. Unlocked. Lila's whisper carries a note of concern. Reed shrugs. Lucky break. Maybe the old man's not as paranoid as we thought. They enter the mansion's grand foyer, their wet boots silent on the marble floor. The interior is a study in refined taste. Antique furniture, original artwork, and subtle lighting that creates more shadows than illumination. The air carries the faint scent of old books and polish. "Split up?" Lila suggests, but Reed shakes his head. "Stay together. Something feels off." They move through the ground floor methodically, checking each room with professional precision. The kitchen is spotless, the dining room undisturbed, the library filled with rare volumes that would make collectors salivate. Everything speaks of wealth and cultivation, but there's an artificial quality to it all, like a museum after hours. As they enter the massive living room, the first sign that something's wrong comes in the form of flickering lights. The elegant chandelier above them pulses eerily, casting shifting shadows across the space. Then, the sound system activates. "I was wondering when you'd arrive." The voice seems to come from everywhere at once, rich, cultured, and carrying an edge of amusement. Reed and Lila instantly take defensive positions, backs together, weapons raised. "Mr. Kane," Reed calls out, trying to locate the source of the voice. "This would be easier for everyone if you cooperate." A soft chuckle fills the room. "Easier? Perhaps, but not nearly as instructive. I'm giving you one chance to walk away. I suggest you take it." "Or what?" Reed's tone is dismissive. "You'll call the police? Set off some alarms? We did our homework, old man. We know exactly what we're dealing with." "No," the voice replies, almost sadly. "You really don't." Reed gestures to Lila, and they begin moving deeper into the house. "Check upstairs. He's trying to stall us." They reach the grand staircase, their movements still coordinated, but now carrying an edge of tension. The house's silence feels oppressive, broken only by the storm outside and their own careful breathing. Suddenly, there's a barely audible word from above. Before either can react, a small drone drops from a concealed panel in the ceiling. It's unlike anything they've seen before, sleek, black, and moving with impossible precision. Lila catches the movement first, but she's a fraction too slow. The drone fires, and a small dart strikes her right arm. She has time for one surprise gasp before electricity courses through her body. Her weapon clatters to the floor as she stumbles, fighting to stay conscious. Lila. Reed turns to help her, but movement in his peripheral vision makes him spin back. Elliot Kane stands at the top of the stairs, his posture relaxed but alert. He's dressed casually in dark slacks and a sweater, looking for all the world like he was simply up late reading. But there's something in his stance that sets off every warning bell in Reed's trained mind. Last chance, Elliot says quietly, though I suspect you're not the type to take good advice. Reed responds by firing 3 perfectly aimed shots. The sound is deafening in the enclosed space, but Elliot is already moving. He flows like water, each bullet missing by millimeters as he descends the stairs with frightening speed. Reed drops his gun and switches to hand-to-hand combat, throwing a combination that would have disabled most opponents. But Elliot moves with the precision of decades of training, deflecting each strike and countering with devastating efficiency. The fight is over in seconds. Reed finds himself on the floor, his right arm locked in a hold that sends waves of agony through his shoulder. He tries to break free, but Elliot's grip is like iron. Impossible, Reed gasps. You're old. Elliot's voice carries a hint of dark humor. Age brings experience, Mr. Martinez. Something you'll learn, if you live long enough. Lila, fighting through the effects of the electric dart, manages to stumble toward the door. Elliot makes no move to stop her, his attention focused on Reed. Go, he calls after her. Tell your employer what you found here. Though I suspect they already know. She hesitates for a moment, torn between escaping and helping her partner. Another crack of thunder decides for her, and she disappears into the storm. Elliot efficiently disarms Reed of his remaining weapons before dragging him to his feet. Come along. We have much to discuss. They descend into the basement, passing the gym Reed and Lila had seen in their surveillance. Elliot leads his captive to a reinforced door that opens to reveal a small but comfortable room, clearly designed for holding prisoners. I need answers, Elliot says as he secures Reed to a chair. Not blood, though which I get will depend entirely on you. You're making a mistake, Reed growls. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Elliot's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Funny. I was about to say the same thing. Leaving Reed secured, Elliot returns to his study. The storm continues to rage outside, but inside, a different kind of tempest brews. He approaches a small safe hidden behind a painting, not the vault containing his weapons and documents, but a more personal sanctuary. Inside is a single photograph, worn at the edges from frequent handling. It shows a younger Elliot, his face unlined by years of regret, standing with a beautiful woman and a young girl. They're laughing in the picture, caught in a moment of pure joy. The timestamp shows a date 15 years ago. Elliot traces the faces in the photograph with a gentle finger. I'm sorry, he whispers. I thought I could leave it all behind. I thought I could find peace. His voice hardens. But they won't let me, will they? Meanwhile, deep in the forest surrounding the estate, Lila huddles under a fallen tree, trying to stay dry as she activates her emergency communicator. The electric shock has left her muscles twitching, and her right arm is still partially numb. Target is not as expected, she reports, her voice shaking slightly. Reed is captured. Request immediate extraction and new instructions. The broker's modulated voice comes through clearly despite the storm. No extraction. No new instructions. Complete the mission or face the consequences. You know our policy on failure. But he's not what we were told. He's trained, dangerous. We need more resources, more information. You have 24 hours. The broker cuts her off. Either Kane dies, or you do. Choose wisely. The communication ends, leaving Lila alone with the storm and her fears. Lightning illuminates the mansion in the distance, and for a moment, she sees it as it truly is, not a refuge for a wealthy recluse, but a fortress hiding secrets she's only beginning to understand. In his surveillance room, Elliot watches her on his monitors. His expression shows a flicker of sympathy, quickly replaced by determination. He brings up dossiers on both assassins, adding notes from their encounter. Young, skilled, but predictable, he mutters, typing. The real question is, who sent them? And why now? He pulls up another screen, showing a complex web of connections, financial transactions, corporate entities, and shadowy organizations. At the center is a name, Victor Harlow. Elliot's eyes narrow as he studies the diagram. Time to stop hiding, he says to himself. Time to finish this. The storm continues through the night, its fury matching the tensions building within and around the mansion. In the basement, Reed tests his restraints, finding them expertly secured. In the forest, Lila begins planning her next move, knowing failure isn't an option. And in his study, Elliot Kane prepares for a confrontation years in the making. The first battle is over, but the war is just beginning. As lightning splits the sky one final time, it illuminates three people whose lives have become inextricably intertwined. A master of secrets forced out of retirement, a captured assassin facing hard truths, and a wounded killer with an impossible choice. Dawn approaches, but the darkness is far from over. MIT campus, Cambridge, 1989. The computer lab hums with the sound of dozens of terminals running complex calculations. In the corner, a young Elliot Kane hunches over his keyboard, his fingers flying across the keys as lines of code fill the screen. At 22, he's already earning a reputation as a prodigy in the emerging field of digital finance. Kane, you're still here? Professor Mitchell asks, checking his watch. It's past midnight. Elliot barely looks up, his eyes bright with excitement. I've almost cracked it, Professor. Look at this. He gestures to his screen, where a complex algorithm is running. A completely secure transaction system. Untraceable, unhackable, but completely legitimate. The professor leans in, his expression changing from concern to amazement as he studies the code. This is remarkable. The implications for international banking alone. It's more than that, Elliot interrupts, his passion evident. This could revolutionize how money moves around the world. No more corrupt middlemen, no more lost transactions. Total transparency when you want it, total privacy when you need it. Little did he know that those same features would soon attract attention from people who saw very different applications for his technology. Singapore, 1992. The high-rise office gleams in the tropical sun, its windows reflecting the city's prosperity. Inside, Elliot presents his system to a room full of investors. At 25, he's learned to polish his appearance and pitch, but his eyes still burn with the same innovative fire. The system is performing perfectly in trials, he explains, pointing to the projected figures. But we need additional funding to scale up. The infrastructure costs alone. After the presentation, a man approaches him. Marcus Wong, representing a consortium of private investors, offers to discuss opportunities over dinner. His smile is friendly, his manner impeccable, but something in his eyes should have warned Elliot. Your technology is extraordinary, Marcus says later that evening in an exclusive restaurant. But you're thinking too small. Why limit yourself to traditional banking? Elliot sips his wine, exhausted from months of rejection from conventional investors. What did you have in mind? There are organizations, wealthy, discreet organizations, that would pay handsomely for a system like yours. No questions asked. You mean criminal organizations, Elliot says flatly. Marcus shrugs elegantly. I mean people who value privacy and efficiency. The money is the same color, Mr. Kane. And there would be a lot of it. Hong Kong, 1995. The decision to accept that first illegal client seemed small at the time. Just one transaction, just enough funding to keep his legitimate research going. But success bred success, and the Underworld quickly recognized the value of what Elliot offered. In a luxury penthouse overlooking Victoria Harbor, Elliot now meets with representatives from various criminal enterprises. His system has evolved into a sophisticated network that handles billions in illegal transactions, all while maintaining a legitimate facade. The beauty of it, he explains to a room full of cartel leaders and crime bosses, is that the money becomes untraceable not by hiding it, but by making it indistinguishable from legitimate transactions. It's hiding in plain sight. He's different now at 28. Expensive suit, confident bearing, the naive idealism replaced by pragmatic ambition. His system has made him wealthy beyond his dreams, and his clients treat him with a mixture of respect and fear. But in quiet moments, looking out over the city lights, he feels the first stirrings of doubt. Tokyo, 1998. Daddy, look what I drew. Sarah Kane, age 6, holds up a crayon drawing of their family. Elliot picks her up, breathing in the innocent scent of her hair. His wife, Catherine, watches them from the doorway of their luxury apartment, her smile containing a hint of worry. It's beautiful, sweetheart, he says, but his attention is drawn to the multiple phones on his desk, all buzzing with urgent messages. Later that night, after Sarah is asleep, Catherine confronts him. The people you work with, they're dangerous, aren't they? Elliot tries to reassure her. I'm just a banker, Kath. They need me. Besides, I've built in safeguards. If anything ever happened, promise me you'll be careful, she insists. Promise me you'll protect our family first. He promises, not knowing he'll fail to keep it in the most tragic way possible. Mumbai, 2000. The deal should have been routine. A simple transfer between two criminal organizations. But someone got greedy, someone talked, and everything went wrong. Elliot is in a meeting when he gets the call. By the time he reaches his Mumbai residence, the police are already there. The official report calls it a home invasion gone wrong. Catherine and Sarah were, unfortunately, home at the time. He stands in the empty house, surrounded by evidence markers and police tape, and feels something inside him shatter. On his phone, a message from one of his clients, a reminder about the importance of loyalty. That night, Elliot Kane disappears. The criminal empire he built continues to function, but its architect vanishes like smoke. Various locations, 2000 to 2010. In a Spartan room in Seoul, Elliot begins writing in a leather-bound journal. I built this monster. I have to find a way to destroy it. In Barcelona, he adds another entry. The system is too perfect. It's taken on a life of its own. Dismantling it will take time. In Cape Town, every transaction leaves a trace. I just have to follow them all back to the source. The journals fill with plans, calculations, and most of all, regret. The brilliant system he created has become a hydra, and cutting off one head only causes two more to grow in its place. Meanwhile, parallel stories. In the slums of Bogotá, a young Reed Martinez learns to fight or die. His father, an enforcer for the local cartel, teaches him the brutal lessons of survival. By 12, he can handle a knife. By 15, he's making his first kill. In this life, his father tells him, you're either the predator or the prey. When his father is killed in a turf war, Reed takes the lesson to heart. He builds a reputation as someone who can handle the impossible jobs, the ones that require more than just brute force. Halfway across the world in Taipei, Lila Chun lives a privileged life until her brother's death. Official reports blame a drug overdose, but she discovers messages on his computer suggesting something more sinister. Her search for answers leads her into the criminal underworld, where her technical skills and determination catch the attention of certain organizations. Her handler during training notes, she is the perfect combination of intelligence and ruthlessness. The network evolves, 2010 to 2015. Without Elliot's guiding hand, the criminal network he built begins to fracture. Different factions emerge, each claiming control of parts of the system. The elegant efficiency he designed degrades into chaos. In Moscow, a meeting of criminal leaders erupts into violence. In Dubai, rival factions hack and counter-hack each other's accounts. In Mexico City, old alliances crumble as new players emerge. And in London, Victor Harlow watches the chaos with calculating eyes. Once a minor player in Eastern European crime, he sees opportunity in the disorder. Educated, sophisticated, and utterly ruthless, he begins making moves to consolidate power. Kane's mistake, he tells his lieutenants, was believing he could remain above the fray. Power must be seized and held, not managed from a distance. The present day. In his study at the Pine Grove estate, Elliot reads through his old journals, tracing the history of his creation and its corruption. On his screens, reports show Victor's growing influence, the increasing instability of the network, and the mounting body count. He opens a hidden compartment in his desk and removes a letter, its paper worn from frequent handling. Catherine's handwriting flows across the page. My dearest Elliot, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. I've always known this day might come. The night Sarah was born, I saw the way you looked at her and knew you would do anything to give her a better world. Your brilliant mind and generous heart have always been your greatest strengths and your greatest vulnerabilities. If we're gone, don't let grief destroy what makes you special. Don't let guilt poison your spirit. Whatever mistakes you've made, whatever wrongs you need to right, remember that redemption comes not from hiding, but from action. I love you. I forgive you. Now forgive yourself and do what needs to be done. Always, Catherine. Elliot gently refolds the letter, his decision crystallizing. Below in the basement, Reed waits in his cell. In the forest, Lila nurses her wounds and weighs her options. And somewhere, Victor Harlow believes he's finally found a way to eliminate the one man who could threaten his ambitions. Standing at his window, watching the storm finally begin to clear, Elliot Kane allows himself a small, dangerous smile. He spent years preparing for this moment, building his defenses, gathering intelligence, waiting for the perfect opportunity. The time for hiding is over. The empire he built, the monster he created, has to be destroyed. And he's the only one who knows all its weaknesses. Catherine, he whispers to the dawn, I'm ready now. He turns to his computer and begins typing, initiating sequences he spent years preparing. Around the world, subtle changes begin rippling through the financial networks he created. The first pieces are moving into place. The game is no longer about survival. It's about redemption. And Elliot Kane has finally decided to play. Dawn breaks over Pine Grove, the storm's aftermath leaving the air crisp and clean. Lila Chun crouches at the edge of Elliot's property, studying the security feeds on her tablet. Her right arm still tingles from the electric dart, but determination overrides the discomfort. Somewhere in that mansion, Reed is being held captive, and she has to get him out. Come on, Reed, she mutters, watching the drone patterns. Hold on a little longer. Through her thermal imaging, she spots a gap in the patrol routes, either an oversight or, more likely, another of Elliot's traps. But it's the best chance she's got. Checking her remaining equipment, she takes a deep breath and begins her approach. The rescue itself is almost too easy. She finds Reed in an unlocked basement room, unguarded and apparently unharmed. He's sitting on a cot, staring at the wall with an intensity that worries her. Reed, she whispers, scanning for threats. We need to move. He turns to her slowly, his expression unreadable. Took you long enough. They make their way through the mansion's lower levels, encountering no resistance. The security drones seem to have mysteriously withdrawn, leaving their escape route clear. It's not until they're safely back at their cabin that Reed explodes. What the hell happened back there? He demands, pacing like a caged animal. We had him. It was perfect. Lila, checking the cabin's perimeter, keeps her voice calm. He was waiting for us, Reed. He knew we were coming. Because you got sloppy with the reconnaissance, Reed snaps. All that paranoid theorizing about his security systems made you miss the obvious approach. He's not what we thought he was, Lila argues. You saw how he moved. That wasn't luck or desperate self-defense. That was him getting lucky, Reed interrupts. And it won't happen again. Before Lila can respond, both their phones buzz simultaneously. The screens light up with an identical message, bypassing all their security protocols. You're being used. Ask why. Reed hurls his phone against the wall, shattering it. Smug bastard. Thinks he's so clever. But Lila stares at her screen, mind racing. The ease of their escape, the unlocked cell, this message. None of it fits the profile of a simple, wealthy recluse. She pulls out her laptop, beginning a deeper dive into Elliot Kane's past. What are you doing? Reed demands, still pacing. Research. Real research this time. Her fingers fly across the keyboard. There's more going on here than we know. Over the next few hours, Reed's behavior becomes increasingly erratic. He cleans his weapons obsessively, muttering about revenge and reputation. The calm professional from earlier missions is gone, replaced by someone running on rage and wounded pride. We go back tonight, he says for the 10th time. Hit him hard, no subtlety, no games. We need to understand what we're dealing with first, Lila counters, her eyes fixed on her screen. She's discovering fragments of Elliot's past. Brilliant programmer, financial innovator, then nothing. A complete disappearance from public records around 2000. What's to understand? He's a target. We have orders. We finished the job. But Lila has found something that makes her blood run cold. Hidden in the darkest corners of the web, she discovers whispers about a shadowy figure who revolutionized criminal financing in the 1990s. A genius who created an untraceable system for moving billions in illegal funds, then vanished after a personal tragedy. Her hands shaking slightly, she opens an encrypted chat program she hasn't used in years. The message is simple: need information on Elliot Kane. Urgent. The response comes faster than expected. Secure line. 10 minutes. When the call connects, the voice on the other end is familiar but cautious. Lila, it's been a while. Gabriel, she acknowledges. What can you tell me about Kane? Gabriel's laugh is without humor. The better question is, what do you think you know about Kane? I know he's not just some rich hermit. I know he built something big and dangerous. And I know Victor Harlow wants him dead. A long pause follows. You're in way over your head, Lila. Kane isn't just another target. He created the financial infrastructure that powers most of the criminal underworld. And Victor is trying to seize control of it all. Why now? Because Kane's been systematically dismantling his creation for years. Victor's making his move before it all falls apart. Gabriel's voice turns urgent. Get out while you can, Lila. This isn't going to end well for anyone involved. After the call ends, Lila sits in silence, processing. In the next room, she can hear Reed still planning his assault, his voice rising and falling as he talks to himself. Her phone buzzes again, the broker this time. Status update required. Lila's reply is professional. Technical difficulties. Regrouping for second attempt. The response is immediate and chilling. Failure is not an option. You have 48 hours. After that, your contract will be permanently terminated. She stares at the message, understanding the true meaning. They'll kill her if she fails, and possibly even if she succeeds. The pieces are falling into place, and she doesn't like the picture they're forming. Reed bursts into her room, his eyes fever bright. I got it all planned out. We go in heavy this time, explosives, full tactical gear. He won't be ready for a direct assault. Reed, wait. Lila tries to interrupt. There's something you need to know about Kane. I don't want to hear any more theories. Reed shouts. He humiliated us. He made us look like amateurs. This isn't about pride, Lila argues. We're being used. Victor Harlow, I don't care who's paying us or why. Reed cuts her off. The job is the job. Are you with me or not? Lila looks at her partner, the man who trained her, who's had her back on countless missions, and makes her decision. I'm with you, she lies. Reed's smile is predatory. Good. Get some rest. Tomorrow night, we end this. But as Reed returns to his preparations, Lila begins making plans of her own. She copies all her research to a secure drive, then composes 2 messages. The first goes to a hidden email address she found in her investigation. Mr. Kane, we need to talk. Alone. The second goes to Gabriel. Need extraction plan. Things about to get complicated. Night falls over Pine Grove, and in his mansion, Elliot Kane receives Lila's message with a slight smile. On his screens, he watches Reed's increasingly unstable behavior and Lila's careful preparations. Everything is proceeding exactly as he predicted. He opens a drawer and removes Catherine's letter again, reading it one more time before returning to his computers. The pieces are in motion now, and tomorrow will bring either resolution or disaster. In their cabin, Reed finally falls into an exhausted sleep, his dreams filled with violence and revenge. In her room, Lila lies awake, weighing loyalty against survival, duty against morality. And somewhere in the darkness, Victor Harlow's agents are moving into position, preparing to ensure that tomorrow's confrontation goes exactly as their master has planned. The stage is set for a battle where nothing is quite what it seems, and everyone has something to lose. As another storm gathers on the horizon, 3 lives hang in the balance, each person fighting not just for survival, but for their own version of redemption. Morning will bring hard choices and harder consequences. But for now, the night holds its secrets, and the players in this dangerous game try to find what piece they can before the final act begins. In his private vault beneath the mansion, Elliot Kane prepares for war. The room hums with active servers and communications equipment, screens displaying data feeds from around the world. He moves with practiced efficiency, checking weapons and activating dormant systems that haven't been used in years. Time to wake up some old friends, he murmurs, initiating a series of encrypted communications. The messages go out to carefully hidden addresses across the globe. The game is an endgame. Stay clear or choose sides. No middle ground left. Responses trickle in from his former associates. Understood. Standing down. Good hunting. About time. Resources at your disposal. Victor's overplayed his hand. He's all yours. Elliot allows himself a grim smile as he checks his surveillance feeds. Through multiple drone cameras, he watches Reed and Lila's cabin. Their thermal signatures tell different stories. Reed pacing frantically, Lila sitting still, likely at her computer. Let's see what you're planning, he says, fingers dancing across his keyboard. The cabin's compromised Wi-Fi network reveals Reed's online searches. Explosives, detonators, tactical assault patterns. Lila's activity is more interesting. Deep research into his past, encrypted communications with Gabriel. Smart girl, Elliot notes. You're starting to ask the right questions. The morning sun finds Reed moving through the forest surrounding Elliot's estate, placing improvised explosive devices at strategic points. His movements are aggressive, lacking his usual precision. Through the drone feeds, Elliot watches him plant charge after charge. Sloppy, Elliot mutters. Emotional, dangerous. In another feed, he spots Lila trailing behind Reed. She waits until her partner moves ahead, then carefully disarms or modifies several of the explosives. Her actions are quick, professional, but her body language shows inner conflict. Elliot reaches for his communication console. It's time to test Lila's growing doubts. Through her compromised phone, his voice emerges. Those explosives could hurt innocent people. You know that's not your style, Miss Chun? Lila freezes, then quickly scans the trees. Where are you? Somewhere safe. Like you should be. Walk away from this, Lila. You're too smart to be a pawn in Victor's game. She hesitates, her hand touching the disabled explosive. It's not that simple. It never is. But you have a choice. Reed doesn't. He's too far gone. But you still see clearly. Before she can respond, Reed's voice carries through the trees. Lila, get over here. She hurries away without answering, but her actions have already spoken volumes. As afternoon approaches, Reed's patience finally snaps. He charges toward the mansion, firing automatic weapons at security cameras and shouting challenges. Come out and face me, old man. No more games. Elliot watches from his control room, shaking his head. Always the hard way. He activates his non-lethal defense systems. Sonic deterrents hidden in the trees emit focused frequencies that disorient and nauseate. Electromagnetic pulses disable Reed's electronic equipment. Motion-activated sprayers release fast-acting sedative gas. Reed fights through the first wave of defenses, his military training showing through his rage. But he can't counter what he can't see. A combination of sonic pulses and sedative gas finally brings him down, his unconscious form slumping beneath an old oak tree. Medical drones en route, Elliot commands. Keep him sedated but stable. As automated medical units tend to read, movement on another monitor catches Elliot's attention. Lila has used the chaos of Reed's assault as cover to infiltrate the mansion from the opposite side. Her approach is methodical, professional. Everything Reed's wasn't. Elliot allows her to reach his study, curious to see her next move. She enters cautiously, weapon raised but not firing. I know you're here, she calls out. We need to talk. Indeed we do. Elliot steps from a hidden door, his hands empty, but his posture ready. Though I'm surprised you chose such a direct approach. Lila keeps her weapon trained on him, but her questions come quickly. Why does Victor want you dead? What's this really about? You done your research. You tell me. You built something. A system for moving money, hiding transactions. The foundation of the modern criminal underground. Elliot nods, moving to his desk with casual confidence. Close enough. I created a financial infrastructure that made traditional criminal enterprises obsolete. No more suitcases of cash, no more vulnerable paper trails. Perfect anonymity, perfect security, and now Victor wants control of it. Victor wants what he can't have. Elliot activates a wall screen, displaying complex financial data. Because it's already gone, I've spent the last 5 years systematically dismantling my creation. Shell companies dissolved, hidden accounts exposed, encryption keys corrupted. The empire is crumbling, piece by piece. Lila lowers her weapon slightly. That's why he moved now. Before it's all gone, Victor thinks killing me will stop the process. He doesn't understand that it's already too late. Elliot turns to face her fully. The question is, where do you stand in all this? Lila struggles with the weight of the decision. Reed is my partner. We've been through everything together. Reed is a weapon pointed in the wrong direction. Victor wound him up and let him loose, knowing he'd either succeed in killing me or create enough chaos to cover other moves. What other moves? Elliot smiles grimly. Why do you think you were both sent? One unstable battering ram to draw attention, one precise professional to finish the job. Victor hedging his bets. The truth hits Lila hard. She'd been set up as the backup plan, expected to succeed where Reed's brute force failed. If I help you, can you protect me from Victor? Better than that. Elliot turns back to his screens. I can help you disappear completely. New identity, new life, clean slate. The same offer extends to Reed, if he can be made to see reason. He won't. He's too far gone. Then the choice is yours alone. Elliot brings up more data. But before you decide, let me show you something. The screens fill with transaction records, account details, and surveillance photos. I haven't just been dismantling the network. I've been gathering evidence. Enough to expose every major criminal organization that used my system, including Victor's entire operation. Lila stares at the screens in shock. This would tear apart the criminal underworld. It already is. Piece by piece, day by day. Victor's just the first to realize the extent of what's happening. That's why he's desperate. Elliot faces her again. I'm offering you a chance to be on the right side of the collapse. A long moment passes as Lila processes everything. Finally, she engages her weapon's safety and lowers it completely. What do you need me to do? First, we need to deal with Reed. Then, Elliot's explanation is cut short by alarms blaring across his security system. Multiple perimeter breaches, heavily armed intruders approaching from all directions. Victor's insurance policy, Lila realizes. He must have been tracking us, waiting to see if we failed. Elliot's fingers fly across his keyboard, bringing up tactical displays. No time for the full explanation. Are you in or out? Lila checks her weapon with professional efficiency. In. But I want the full story when this is over. Deal. Elliot activates additional security measures. First, we need to get Reed somewhere safe. Whatever else he is, we can't leave him out there. Agreed? Then what? Elliot's smile is cold as ice. Then we show Victor exactly who he's dealing with. Ready? Outside, the sound of approaching vehicles and armed men fills the air. The real battle is about to begin, with new alliances formed and old loyalties tested. As Elliot and Lila prepare to face this new threat, the storm that's been building finally breaks over Pine Grove, nature itself setting the stage for the chaos to come. In his unconscious state, Reed stirs fitfully, unaware that his world is about to change forever. And somewhere, Victor Harlow receives news of the evolving situation, his carefully laid plans already beginning to unravel. The game has changed, the players have chosen sides, and the final battle for control of the criminal underworld's future is about to begin. But in this war, victory might look very different from what anyone expects. In a luxurious penthouse office in Singapore, Victor Harlow watches multiple screens with cold intensity. The real-time surveillance footage shows Lila entering Elliot's mansion, then lowering her weapon. Their conversation, though muted, tells him everything he needs to know through their body language alone. Disappointing, he murmurs, reaching for his phone, but not unexpected. His fingers move across the screen, sending encrypted commands to waiting strike teams. The message is simple: execute Protocol 0. No survivors. The broker's modulated voice comes through a secure line. Teams are in position, awaiting final confirmation. Kill them all, Victor orders. Kane, Chun, Martinez clean sweep. Then burn it to the ground. Meanwhile, at the estate, Elliot and Lila work with practiced efficiency to fortify their position. Elliot's fingers fly across keyboards, activating dormant defense systems, while Lila checks weapons and ammunition. The tree line is our first defense, Elliot explains, showing her a tactical display. Motion sensors, sonic deterrents, and automated countermeasures. But Victor's men will be better equipped than you and Reed were. How many do you expect? Based on thermal signatures approaching from the north and east, at least 20. Professional military background, top-tier equipment. He brings up another screen. They're being careful, but my outer sensors picked them up 10 minutes ago. Lila checks her tactical vest. What about Reed? Medical drones moved him to a secure location in the West Wing. He should be coming around soon. An alert flashes on one of Elliot's screens. Speaking of which, in a reinforced recovery room, Reed Martinez wakes with a splitting headache and rage in his heart. Through the security cameras, they watch him take in his surroundings, then notice a tablet left deliberately on a nearby table. The screen shows footage of Lila and Elliot working together. Reed's roar of fury is audible even through the thick walls. Traitor! He's not going to be reasonable, is he? Elliot asks, though his tone suggests he already knows the answer. Lila shakes her head. Reed doesn't do reasonable. Not when he feels betrayed. On another screen, a message flashes, direct communication from Victor himself. You can't hide forever, Kane. Whatever hole you've built for yourself, I will burn it down around you. Elliot's response is a slight smirk. Amateur theatrics. He's getting desperate. But Lila notices something in his expression, a flicker of something that makes her pause. Why did you really help me? What's your endgame in all this? Does it matter? We both want to survive the night. It matters if I'm trading one manipulator for another. Elliot turns to her fully, his expression serious. I'm giving you the truth, Miss Chun. More than Victor ever did. What you do with it is your choice. Before she can respond, proximity alarms blaze across the security screens. Victor's strike teams have launched their attack, moving in coordinated patterns that speak of extensive military training. Here we go, Elliot mutters, activating his outer defenses. The first wave of mercenaries triggers hidden traps throughout the grounds. Sonic pulses drop several attackers to their knees, clutching their heads in agony. Others step into electromagnetic fields that fry their communication equipment and night vision gear. But these are professionals, and they adapt quickly. The second wave uses the first sacrifice to map out safe paths, advancing with greater caution. They're good, Lila admits, watching their tactical movements. Yes, Elliot agrees. But I'm better. He initiates secondary countermeasures. Hidden panels in the trees deploy automated defense drones. The ground sprinkler system activates, but instead of water, it spreads an obscuring fog laced with mild irritants. Through the chaos, a familiar figure emerges. Reed, having escaped a secured room, joins the mercenaries. His knowledge of the property's layout, gained during their earlier surveillance, helps the attackers avoid several trap zones. This complicates things, Elliot notes calmly, though his fingers move faster across his keyboards. Reed knows some of your defensive patterns, Lila warns. He's obsessive about memorizing tactical details. A shot rings out, shattering a window near Elliot's head. Only Lila's quick tackle saves him from the sniper's bullet. Thank you, he says as they take cover. I trust that resolves some of your doubts? Lila's response is to pop up and return accurate fire, forcing the sniper to retreat. Some, still keeping my eyes open. The battle intensifies. Victor's men breach the outer perimeter, using Reed's intelligence to bypass several security layers. The mansion's reinforced walls absorb small arms fire, but the attackers have brought heavier weapons. They're setting up explosive charges, Lila reports from her observation position. Military grade. Elliot's hands hover over his master control panel. Time for the contingency plan, then. Cover your ears. What are you? He hits a sequence of commands, and suddenly every piece of electronic equipment in a half-mile radius dies. Night vision goggles, communication devices, weapon sights, all rendered useless by a massive electromagnetic pulse. The strike team's coordinated attack dissolves into chaos. Without their tech advantages, they're just men stumbling in the dark. But the pulse has also disabled most of Elliot's defensive systems. We're blind too, Lila points out. Not quite. Elliot pulls out what looks like old-fashioned night vision goggles. Sometimes analog is better than digital. Here, they watch as the mercenaries retreat into the trees, their attack disrupted but not defeated. Reed's voice carries through the darkness, promising vengeance. In the distance, vehicle engines start up as the strike team withdraws to regroup. That won't hold them for long, Elliot says, already moving to backup systems. Victor will have counted on the possibility of an EMP. The next wave will be hardened against it. How many more tricks do you have? Enough. But we need to be ready for... He stops as multiple alerts flash across his remaining functional screens. Well, that's interesting. What is... Victor's not just sending more men. He's coming himself. Elliot's expression shows grim satisfaction. Finally, Lila checks her remaining ammunition. Is that good news or bad news? Both. It means he's desperate enough to risk personal exposure. But it also means the next attack will be absolutely everything he has. Elliot turns to her. Last chance to walk away. What's coming next will make this look like a warm-up, but Lila's made her choice. Moving to the window, she begins setting up firing positions. I don't like being used. Victor needs to learn that lesson. Elliot nods approvingly and returns to preparing his remaining defenses. Outside, the dawn is approaching, and with it will come Victor's full wrath. The first round may be over, but the real battle is just beginning. In the trees, Reed nurses his wounds and his rage, already planning his next move. The mercenaries regroup, checking their equipment and waiting for orders. And somewhere on approach, Victor Harlow sits in his armored vehicle, surrounded by screens showing tactical readouts. Burn it all, he orders into his secure line. Whatever it takes. Kane ends tonight. Back in the mansion, Elliot and Lila prepare for the coming storm. The EMP bought them time, but they both know it's temporary. Victor's resources are vast, his reach nearly unlimited. But Elliot Kane has spent years preparing for this moment, and he's not done surprising everyone yet. The next attack will define everything, not just their survival, but the future of the entire criminal underground. As the first hints of sunrise touch the horizon, three forces prepare for a confrontation that will leave none of them unchanged. Victor, driven by ambition and fear of losing his chance at ultimate power. Reed, consumed by betrayal and the need for revenge. And in the mansion, Elliot and Lila, an unlikely alliance born of necessity and a shared understanding of manipulation. The night's battle was just a prelude. The real war is about to begin. In his command center beneath the mansion, Elliot Kane initiates a highly encrypted communication channel. The connection routes through dozens of servers across multiple continents before reaching its destination. After several tense moments, a familiar face appears on the screen. Gabriel. Elliot greets his old friend. It's time. Gabriel Reyes looks older than when they last met, his dark hair now streaked with gray, but his eyes are as sharp as ever. I wondered when you'd call. Victor's making his move. He's already here. First wave failed, but he's coming personally for the second. I need your team. Gabriel's expression tightens. You're asking a lot, old friend. Victor's reach is long these days, and getting longer if we don't stop him now. Elliot leans forward. You've seen what he's doing to the network. It's not just about money anymore. He's building something worse than what I ever created. After a long moment, Gabriel nods. We can be there in 2 hours. But Elliot, this is the last time. After this, we're done. Agreed? And Gabriel? Thank you. Outside in the woods surrounding the estate, Reed Martinez crouches behind a fallen tree, listening to Victor's mercenaries discuss their next move. The morning light filters through the leaves, casting shifting shadows over their tactical gear. Can't believe we're risking our necks for this garbage. One mercenary grumbles, checking his weapon. All because Martinez couldn't handle a simple hit. Another laughs. You heard the boss. Martinez is just cannon fodder now. Let him draw their fire while we handle the real work. Reed's fingers tighten on his rifle as the truth of his situation sinks in. Everything he believed about loyalty and respect in this world suddenly seems hollow. Inside the mansion, Lila and Elliot use the brief respite to reinforce their positions. As they work, Lila finally breaks her silence about her past. My brother Michael was a programmer in Taipei. She begins, rigging a tripwire. Brilliant kid, always trying to change the world. He discovered something in his company's financial records, transactions that didn't make sense. Elliot continues his own preparations, but listens intently. They said it was an overdose, but Michael never touched drugs. He was killed because he found traces of your system, wasn't he? Yes, Elliot admits quietly, though I didn't know about it at the time. Victor's people were already starting to act independently, eliminating potential threats. That's why I joined the Underworld, Lila continues. Trained, learned everything I could. I thought if I got close enough to the power players, I'd find who really killed him. She laughs bitterly. Instead, I became what I was hunting. Elliot stops working and faces her fully. I understand more than you know. My wife, Catherine, my daughter, Sarah, they died because I thought I could stay above the violence, control it through systems and technology. His voice carries years of pain. I built the monster that devoured them. Is that why you're dismantling it all now? Partly, but mostly because I finally realized the truth. Power structures like these don't protect anyone. They only feed on themselves, growing more corrupt and deadly with each generation. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of Gabriel and his team. 6 people in total. They move with the coordinated precision of longtime operators. Gabriel himself carries the bearing of someone who's seen too much but hasn't lost his humanity. Situation report, he asks without preamble. Elliot brings up his tactical displays. Victor's main force is regrouping here and here. Reed Martinez is somewhere in this sector, probably planning his own move. We got about 30 minutes before they're ready for another push. Gabriel studies the screens, then turns to his team. Sarah, take the high ground. James, Marcus, secure the perimeter. Elena, get those charges set. June, you're on tech support. As the team moves out, Gabriel shares his intelligence. Victor's position is weaker than he's letting on. 3 major factions in the network have already turned against him. The Yakuza wants nothing to do with this war. The Brava is quietly backing away. Even his own lieutenants are hedging their bets. He's desperate, Elliot concludes. That's why he's here personally. He needs a decisive victory. More than that, Gabriel adds. He needs your fortune. The network knows you've been dismantling the financial infrastructure. They think you've been converting assets to physical wealth, storing it somewhere. Lila looks between them. Have you? Before Elliot can answer, movement sensors light up. Reed has emerged from the woods, hands raised in surrender. He looks directly into one of the security cameras. I need to talk to Lila, he calls out. Just talk. Lila moves to go, but Elliot stops her. It could be a trap. It's not, she says with certainty. I know him. This is different. The meeting takes place in the mansion's front garden, both sides watching with weapons ready. Reed looks exhausted, his former rage replaced by something closer to resignation. Why? He asks simply. Because we were wrong, Reed. This isn't about a job anymore. Victor's been using us from the start. I heard them talking, Reed admits, about me being expendable, about all of us being just tools. He laughs harshly. Guess loyalty only goes one way in this business. Their conversation is cut short by the sound of approaching vehicles. Victor's second wave is arriving, and this time they're bringing serious firepower. Make your choice, Reed, Lila says urgently. But make it now. Back in the command center, Elliot outlines his plan to the assembled group. Victor expects us to fight conventionally. Defend the mansion, try to hold him off. Instead, we're going to give him exactly what he wants. My death. You want to fake your own deaths? Gabriel asks skeptically. Victor needs to believe he's won. That's the only way to draw him in close enough. Elliot brings up building schematics. The mansion's original wine cellar has a tunnel system dating back to Prohibition. We can use that for the deception. Meanwhile, in his armored command vehicle, Victor Harlow reviews tactical feeds with cold satisfaction. Multiple screens show different angles of Elliot's estate, with thermal imaging revealing the defenders' positions. Kane thinks he's so clever, he tells his commanders. hiding behind his technology and tricks. But he's forgotten the fundamental truth of power. It belongs to those willing to take it. He opens a secure briefcase, revealing documents detailing vast financial holdings. $5 billion in untraceable assets, ancient gold, bearer bonds, cryptocurrency keys, all of it hidden away by Kane before he started his crusade of redemption. His smile is predatory. Once he's dead, it all becomes mine. And with those resources, no one will be able to challenge my control of the network. Back in the mansion, Elliot records a final message on his secure system. His voice is calm, but carries absolute conviction. Victor, I know you'll see this eventually. So let me be clear. You're not just fighting me. You're fighting an inevitability. The system is already falling apart. The network is already crumbling. Your victory, if you achieve it, will be Pyrrhic at best. He leans closer to the camera. But you won't achieve it. Because you fundamentally misunderstand what I built, what I controlled, and what I've spent years taking apart. By the time you see this, it will be too late. The Empire is already gone. You're fighting for a throne that no longer exists. As dawn fully breaks over Pine Grove, the pieces are set for the final confrontation. Gabriel's team takes their positions throughout the property. Reed, having chosen his side, prepares for battle against his former employers. Lila stations herself in a sniper perch, watching Victor's forces advance. And in his command center, Elliot Kane initiates the final sequences of a plan years in the making. On his screens, financial markets around the world begin showing subtle but significant fluctuations. The dismantling of his criminal empire isn't just continuing, it's accelerating. All those years hiding in plain sight, he murmurs. Time to finally step into the shadows for real. The stage is set for a battle that will determine not just their fates, but the future of the criminal underworld itself. As Victor's forces move into position for their final assault, none of them realize they're playing exactly the role Elliot has designed for them. The real question isn't who will win this battle. It's who will survive what comes after. The morning sun breaks over Pine Grove as Victor Harlow's convoy approaches Elliot's estate. Armored vehicles crash through the outer gates, while combat helicopters circle overhead. Victor himself stands in his command vehicle, watching thermal feeds of the mansion's defenses. Breach all entry points simultaneously, he orders through his tactical comm, no subtlety this time. Full offensive. Inside the mansion's command center, Elliot Kane watches the approaching force with calculated calm. 60-plus mercenaries, heavy weapons, air support. He's not holding anything back. Gabriel checks his team's positions on the tactical display. Sarah's in position on the North Ridge. James and Marcus have the perimeter charges ready. Elena's drones are airborne, and I've got sight lines on their command vehicle, Lila adds from her sniper position. Reed Martinez, their newest ally, studies the attacker's formation. Victor's men are ex-military, mostly Eastern European. They'll use standard assault protocols, breach, clear, control. Then let's give them something non-standard, Elliot says, activating his defense grid. The battle erupts with devastating intensity. Victor's forces attack from all directions, using shaped charges to breach the mansion's walls. But Elliot's preparations prove formidable. Automated turrets emerge from hidden panels, firing non-lethal but incapacitating rounds. Elena's drones deploy electronic warfare measures, disrupting the attacker's communications. First wave encountering heavy resistance. A mercenary commander reports to Victor. Kane's defenses are unusual. Push through, Victor orders. Whatever it takes. Gabriel's team moves with practiced efficiency, using their knowledge of the property to devastating effect. Sarah's sniper fire forces the attackers to stay in cover, while James and Marcus trigger targeted explosions that channel enemy movements into prepared kill zones. Reed proves his worth quickly, predicting the mercenaries' tactics and helping counter them. Watch the left flank, he warns. They'll try to their... A team of attackers attempts to breach through a blind spot, only to be caught in crossfire from Reed and Lila's positions. The coordination between former partners remains perfect, even now on opposite sides from their original mission. Victor, watching his first assault falter, switches tactics. Bring in the gunships. Level the place if you have to. Attack helicopters swing in low, weapons pods rotating. But before they can open fire, Elena's drones swarm them, interfering with their targeting systems and forcing them to pull back. You look frustrated, Victor. Elliot's voice comes through the command vehicle speakers, having hacked their comm system. Missing the days when problems could be solved with brute force? Still hiding behind your machines, Kane? Victor sneers. Come face me yourself if you dare. Careful what you wish for. The battle shifts as Victor deploys his elite teams, using specialized equipment to counter Elliot's technological advantages. They manage to breach the mansion's outer defenses, engaging in close-quarter combat with the defenders. Reed spots a team flanking their position and moves to intercept. This was their backup plan in Mumbai. He calls out, I can handle it. Reed, wait. Lila tries to warn him, but he's already moving. Reed engages the mercenaries directly, his intimate knowledge of their tactics allowing him to outmaneuver them. He disables 3 before taking a bullet in the shoulder, but his action prevents the defender's position from being compromised. Why did you turn against us? One of the downed mercenaries asks him. Reed's response is cold, because loyalty goes both ways. Something Victor never understood. The battle reaches a crescendo as Victor, growing increasingly frustrated, orders his forces to converge on the mansion's central wing. Find Kane. Bring him to me. But this is exactly what Elliot has been waiting for. As the attackers concentrate their forces, he implements the next phase of his plan. Gabriel, are you ready? In position. But Elliot, you know what this means? I know, old friend. And thank you. Elliot emerges from his command center, making his way toward Victor's position. Lila spots him moving. What are you doing? Finishing this. Cover me. Victor sees Elliot approaching on his screens and smiles. Finally showing some backbone, Kane. They meet in the mansion's grand entrance hall, surrounded by the sounds of battle. Victor's mercenaries form a circle around them, weapons raised. Look at what you've become, Victor mocks. The great Elliot Kane, trying to dismantle the very empire he built. Did you think you could undo all the corruption you enabled? Wash away your sins? No, Elliot responds calmly. But I can stop it from growing. Your redemption is a joke, Victor spits. You're just a guilty man trying to ease his conscience. And you're a small man dreaming of an empire that's already crumbling. Victor raises his weapon, but movement catches his attention. Lila has appeared on the upper balcony, targeting his command vehicle's communications array. Now, Elliot shouts. Multiple things happen at once. Lila's shot disables Victor's command vehicle, cutting off his communication with his forces. Reed, despite his wound, takes out 2 of Victor's personal guards. And Gabriel's team triggers their final play. But Victor's men react quickly. A firefight erupts, and Gabriel takes a bullet meant for Elliot. The tunnel, he gasps as he falls. Finish it. Finish him. Gabriel. Elliot tries to reach his friend, but the battle separates them. Lila, seeing Gabriel fall, makes a split-second decision. Instead of taking her prepared escape route, she provides covering fire for Elliot. Go. End this. Elliot reaches the mansion's east wing and triggers the hidden explosives planted throughout the structure. The controlled demolition brings down key sections of the building, trapping many of Victor's forces and cutting off their retreat. What have you done? Victor demands, finding himself suddenly isolated with only a handful of men. Created a killing field, Elliot responds, his voice hard. But not for who you think. The mansion's remaining defenses activate, targeting Victor's men with precise efficiency. Within moments, the mighty force that attacked the estate lies in ruins. Some dead, most incapacitated, all defeated. Victor himself is captured trying to reach his command vehicle. Elliot's team secures him in the mansion's surveillance room, where multiple cameras are already broadcasting. Say hello to your network, Victor, Elliot says, activating the feeds. They're all watching. You think this changes anything? Victor snarls. The Underworld will always exist. True, but not your version of it. Elliot turns to the cameras. Victor Harlow just demonstrated the weakness of centralized power. His attempt to seize control has failed. More importantly, the financial infrastructure that enabled organizations like his is gone. Victor's eyes widen as he finally understands. The attacks on the banking networks, the collapsed shell companies, the exposed accounts. It wasn't rivals. It was me, dismantling everything I built, piece by piece. Your attack today was the final distraction, keeping the network focused here while the last fail-safes triggered worldwide. Around the globe, criminal organizations watch their supposedly secure financial networks collapse. Hidden accounts are exposed, secret transactions revealed, carefully constructed facades crumble. You've caused chaos. Victor shouts. I've caused reset, Elliot corrects. The empire is gone, Victor. All your dreams of controlling it died before you even reached my gate. As if to prove his point, reports start flooding in through still-functioning channels. Major crime families are turning on each other. Alliances are shattering. The carefully structured criminal world order is dissolving into anarchy. In the aftermath, as law enforcement agencies worldwide scramble to act on suddenly exposed criminal enterprises, Elliot surveys the destruction of his estate. Gabriel's body has been respectfully covered, his sacrifice honored. Reed is receiving medical attention, his redemption earned at a painful cost. Lila helps coordinate the securing of surviving mercenaries. Was it worth it? She asks Elliot quietly. He looks at the ruins of his home, thinking of Catherine and Sarah, of all the lives destroyed by the system he created. Ask me again in a year. Victor is taken into custody, his confession recorded and distributed throughout what remains of his network. But more importantly, the financial web that enabled organized crime to operate on such a massive scale lies in ruins. As dust settles over Pine Grove, Elliot Kane stands in his shattered command center one last time. On his screens, he watches the collapse of his life's work, not with regret, but with grim satisfaction. The monster he created has been destroyed, though the cost has been enormous. Goodbye, Catherine, he whispers to the empty room. I hope this was enough. The empire has fallen. The game is over. And in the end, the most dangerous player proved to be the one who decided to break all the rules. Not for power, but for redemption. A week after the final battle, Elliot Kane stands amid the ruins of his estate. The morning mist clings to the shattered walls and debris-strewn grounds, creating an almost ethereal atmosphere. His left arm rests in a sling, and fresh scars mark his face, but his eyes are clear and focused as he takes in the destruction. The once beautiful gardens are cratered from explosions. The mansion's elegant facade is partially collapsed. But amidst the wreckage, his roses still bloom, stubborn survivors, much like himself. Just like you to check on the flowers first, Lila observes, approaching from behind. She moves carefully, still favoring her right leg from injuries sustained in the fight. Life finds a way, Elliot responds, gently touching a red bloom. Even in the midst of destruction, they walk together through the ruins, passing the spots where their last stand took place. Crime scene tape still marks certain areas, though most of the evidence has been collected. Gabriel's blood stains the marble floor where he fell, a dark reminder of the cost of their victory. Reed's leaving today, Lila mentions, watching Elliot's reaction. In the makeshift medical area they've set up in the stable house, Reed Martinez packs a small bag. His shoulder is properly bandaged now, and his eyes carry a new kind of weight. The look of someone who's had their entire worldview shattered and is still piecing together what remains. You don't have to disappear, Lila tells him from the doorway. Reed checks his few remaining possessions, clothes, some cash, a new identity courtesy of Elliot. Yes, I do. The person I need to figure out who I am without all that. Where will you go? Better if you don't know. He turns to face her. But I'm thinking somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can learn to build things instead of destroying them. They embrace briefly, years of partnership and shared experiences passing between them in silence. No more words are needed. They both understand that some chapters have to end for others to begin. As Reed walks away down the long driveway, Elliot joins Lila in watching him go. On the television inside, news reports continue to detail the unprecedented chaos in the criminal underworld. Headlines flash across the screen. Global criminal networks in disarray, massive financial conspiracy exposed, authorities overwhelmed by wave of new evidence, crime syndicates at war as power vacuum grows. It's exactly what Victor warned would happen, Lila observes. Chaos. Necessary chaos, Elliot corrects her. Sometimes things have to fall apart completely before they can be rebuilt properly. In his temporary office, Elliot works tirelessly at his computer. Screen after screen shows transfers being completed, Anonymous donations to charities, support funds for families affected by organized crime, whistleblower protection programs. Years of accumulated wealth, being redistributed to help heal the wounds his system helped create. You can't save everyone, Lila reminds him, bringing him coffee. No, he agrees. But I can try to balance the scales, even a little. A courier arrives that afternoon with a letter, Gabriel's final message, left with his lawyer to be delivered after his death. Elliot reads it alone in what remains of his garden. Dear Elliot, if you're reading this, then our last play worked, but I didn't make it to see the end. Don't waste time on guilt. I chose this path knowing the risks, just as you chose yours all those years ago. You've spent decades trying to atone for your past. The system you built, the empire you created, it consumed so much of your life. First in building it, then in trying to destroy it. But now it's done. The monster is dead. It's time to live, my friend. Not for redemption, not for atonement, but for yourself. Find peace in knowing you finally did the right thing, no matter the cost. Catherine and Sarah would be proud of the man you've become. Now make them proud of the man you'll be. Your friend always, Gabriel. That evening, Elliot holds a private ceremony in his study. One by one, he burns his old identities, passports, documents, the paper trail of a life spent in shadows. Lila watches from the doorway as decades of carefully constructed aliases turn to ash. What will you do now? She asks. There's a small town in Oregon, he replies. Remote, peaceful, perfect place for a fresh start. He looks at her. And you? Lila hands him a business plan she's drawn up. The Chin Foundation for Victim Recovery. Using my skills to help people escape the life, build new identities, find legitimate work. Following your example, in a way, they'll need someone who understands what they're going through. Elliot approves. Someone who's made the journey themselves. 2 days later, Elliot stands in the ruins of his mansion one last time. Most of his essential belongings have been packed away. His new identity established, his old life systematically erased. Lila has already left for New York to start setting up her foundation. The morning sun breaks through the trees as he walks the perimeter one final time. In his pocket, he carries Catherine's letter and Gabriel's final message. But their weight no longer feels like a burden. Instead, they're reminders of why everything had to change. He reaches the rose garden, now partially restored thanks to his careful attention over the past week. New growth is already sprouting from the damaged plants, proving that renewal is always possible. Taking out his phone, he sends one last message to Lila. The foundation's first year of funding is in place. Good luck. Then he destroys the phone, dropping the pieces into a small stream where they'll never be found. The path ahead leads through the forest, away from the estate and everything it represents. Elliot Kane, or whatever name he'll use now, takes his first steps toward a new life. The morning sun breaks fully over the horizon, casting long shadows through the trees. But for the first time in decades, he walks freely in the light. Behind him, the ruins of his mansion stand as a monument to what was lost and what was gained. The gardens will grow wild, the walls will crumble further, and nature will slowly reclaim what man built. But that's as it should be, the past becoming compost for the future. In New York, Lila Chun begins interviewing staff for her foundation, people who understand the importance of second chances. In a small coastal town, Reed Martinez takes a job as a carpenter's apprentice, learning to create instead of destroy. And somewhere in Oregon, a quiet man tends a small garden, finally at peace with his place in the world. The criminal empire that once spanned the globe lies in ruins, its pieces being sorted through by authorities who will spend years unraveling its complexities. But its architect has disappeared, leaving behind only the lessons learned from its rise and fall. As Elliot walks through the forest, the morning light catching the silver in his hair, he thinks about monsters, the ones we create, the ones we become, and the ones we have to destroy. A gentle smile touches his lips as he realizes a truth that took him decades to learn. Sometimes, he whispers to the dawn, the only way to destroy a monster is to stop being one yourself. The sun rises higher, the forest comes alive with morning sounds, and somewhere in the distance, a new life awaits. The story of Elliot Kane, financial genius, criminal architect, and ultimately, destroyer of his own dark creation, may be over, but the story of who he'll become is just beginning. In the end, that's all anyone can ask for. Not an erasing of the past, but a chance to write a different future. As he disappears into the forest, leaving no trail to follow, Elliot carries with him the knowledge that redemption isn't found in grand gestures or massive destruction, but in the quiet moments when we choose to be better than what we were. The monster is dead. The man lives on. And somewhere, Catherine and Sarah would be proud. Some say if you visit Pine Grove today, you might spot an elderly man tending to roses in a small garden, finding peace in the simple things he once forgot to value. But the real question remains, in a world of monsters and men, which is more dangerous, the empire you build, or the conscience that makes you tear it all down? If you enjoyed this tale of redemption and retribution, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gripping stories that blur the lines between hero and villain. Share your thoughts below on what you think happened to Reed and Lila after the dust settled. And remember to hit that notification bell to be the first to know when our next thrilling narrative drops. Until then, keep watching your back. You never know when the quiet neighbor next door might be hiding an empire of secrets.